Thank you for coming here. I am so excited to be able to introduce you to my friend, my colleague, Alyssa. We're going to kick it off, and I'm going to go rapid fire into some questions because we've only got 15 minutes. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Sonia Nagar. I'm a partner at Pritzker Group Venture Capital, which is where Alyssa had her first stop in venture capital before becoming a partner at 7Wire. So maybe to kick things off, can you share a little bit about your background and what led you into VC in the first place?
Sure. Can everyone hear us okay? Yeah? Okay. It sounds like maybe, because I can hear folks. We'll talk louder. Thank you for the folks in the back. Okay. Hi, again, Alyssa Jaffee, partner with 7Wire Ventures. And Sonia asked me if you couldn't hear how I got here and why I'm here. I, funny enough, did not grow up as a little girl dreaming of being a venture capitalist. I don't think anyone taught me what this life was for a very long time. So for all of you who are younger, I think you are light years ahead where I was, where we were in the career journey. I was an operator. So I came out of undergrad and I was on the road every day, and I was launching new technologies in healthcare. I was doing solution selling, and then I was managing teams for a company called the Advisory Board Company. And I eventually decided to leave and go to business school here in Chicago at University of Chicago Booth. And that's kind of my first introduction. I got exposed to what is this world of entrepreneurship and venture capital, and thought, wow, this is really interesting, and I think I can maybe be good at this. And like most people in society, everybody said, you're never going to get a job in VC. So I was not an investment banker. And the funny part of this story is that today, that's so silly to be an investment banker. Almost, the operator journey, when you build companies and do things, that's what's really valuable. But I started to learn. I got a job working at a couple of smaller VC shops here in Chicago. I started a company. So I ended up starting a company, raising a small round of venture financing. So I did fundraise, raised $1 million. And then I transitioned to that board. And we actually sold that business. And at that point, I went to go work for the Pritzker Group and an institutional fund. Had a wonderful time there. And for me, met amazing friends like Sonia. I am somebody that when you tell me I can't do something, I will do absolutely everything I possibly can to do it, just to tell you that you were wrong. So fast forward here, I've now been at 7Wire Ventures for 5 years, one of the 4 investing partners, and we invest in healthcare companies specifically focused on a thesis we call the informed, connected health consumer. So everything that we do is helping people to be better stewards of their own health and meeting people where they are. So we invest in companies, we start companies, we've had amazing friends. I've started a business and Sonia's angel invested in that business. And our limited partners, the folks that give us money, are both in financial and strategic. So it's been a journey that I'm not sure that I always expected, but one that's ever changing and has been really fun.
Great. So how are you seeing the digital health market evolve over the second half of the year, and where are you excited to invest?
Raise your hands if before COVID, had you ever done a virtual healthcare visit before COVID? Okay. Since COVID, today, have you ever done a virtual healthcare visit? That right there, you cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube. The world of healthcare as we know it has forever changed because of the global pandemic. It was absolutely devastating. It was incredibly challenging for so many people. It put such a constraint on our system. But one of the best things that we all know in entrepreneurship is constraints lead to innovation and opportunity. And so where we spend our time is to focus on how can we deliver and extend care beyond the 4 walls of a hospital. I don't invest in brick and mortar. I don't invest in clinics. I invest in companies that are in the business of care delivery, that are bringing healthcare to you wherever it is that you are. When I look at the future, why is it that you think about banking? Like I can mobile bank on my cell, I can call my bank, or I can walk into a location. Why can't healthcare be the same? why can't it be ubiquitous and it can meet all of us wherever we are? And that's really the thesis that drives me. There's so many opportunities in healthcare. We have like not even enough time to talk about all the sub-theses, areas that I'm excited about. I love women's health. I spent a lot of time there. We built a company called Caraway focused on young women, so Gen Z women, helping them gain independence and agency in their healthcare journey. I spent a lot of time in chronic condition management, a lot of time in mental health, particularly severe mental illness. But really my core thesis, like the future of healthcare has to be, how are Sonia and I, right? How are all of us becoming better stewards of our health? How can we get access to information, connect us into the system to improve our own health outcomes? And at the end of the day, there's just not enough providers in this country. We have a shortage on the supply side. So the only way to really fix that is, yes, there's creative ways to create new supply and create community health workers and new models and new incentive structures. But the best way to do that is that all of us actually understand what we're being told. That when you leave the doctor's office and you hear what instructions you actually remember, because 99% of your life is not sitting in a room with a provider and being able to ask them questions. You're in that room for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes if you're super lucky. So the real opportunity in healthcare is, how do you not just engage a consumer, but empower a consumer, empower all of us to become better stewards of our own health.
So sitting in your seat, you have access to some of the best minds, the innovators, the thought leaders, and you yourself are a thought leader. What are some of the things you're reading or listening to? Like, how do people get smart on healthcare?
The one thing is it's over 18% of our GDP, so you cannot hide from it. You cannot open a national newspaper without reading about healthcare. You can't watch the news without hearing about healthcare, hear a politician speak. But there's so many interesting thought leaders, blogs. I'm happy to share maybe after this, folks that are interested, what are some of the specifics. It's really just about the intellectual curiosity. Sonia and I, you spend a lot of time on Twitter. You can follow me, follow her. You'll see, like, we talk a lot about this life, right? This life that is being a working mom, this life that is being a healthcare consumer, what I read, what I think is interesting, what we all think is interesting. So just finding yourself ingrained in those types of conversations, finding yourself in the middle of social media or in the middle of newspapers, blog posts, industry leaders, and just consuming. And by the way, you can't open Glamour magazine without reading about healthcare. You can't open Golf magazine without reading about healthcare. It permeates absolutely everything that we see and we do. And so it's really about just, I think, opening your eyes a little bit to how the industry works today and why there's so much opportunity to fix it for, I think, the world we all kind of want to live in. I don't know if anybody's been super happy with their healthcare. So there's a lot of opportunity to improve.
You know, I have found that Twitter can be a great shortcut to getting news filtered through different perspectives. What's your Twitter handle for folks who want to learn more about healthcare through that shortcut?
Alyssa Joy Jaffee, and you can find me 2 F's, 2 E's, public on Twitter. And I agree. I think it's an amazing forum and dialogue to have and to ask questions, and frankly, to have a safe space to just, often I read something interesting and look, I could keep it to myself or I can put it out there. And I think one of the best things about Twitter is, in our job, what we do is we get access to some of those interesting, thoughtful people I've ever met in my entire life. And so why should I not share the interesting things that they share with me with all of you? And that's how the approach I sort of take to it.
So now, drawing from your career trajectory that's been somewhat nonlinear, you were an operator, you built a business, you went to business school. What advice do you have for somebody who wants to break into venture capital?
Ooh, break into VC. Anyone here want to break into VC? Think about a job in VC? Okay, I see a couple folks. Love it. Honestly, in the beginning, when you're young and in the early days, at the end of your VC journey, as we sort of were partners, and a lot of it is you think about the big stuff, the massive customer that you can bring in for a company, the big funding that you can deliver on, the introductions that you make. But in the beginning, you say, wow, I don't necessarily have all those introductions. I don't have all those relationships. But you know what you do have? So you have your youth, and you can outwork anybody. So the hustle of being there for a founder. Founders just often need somebody that is in their corner, whatever that is. My CEOs call me all day and night. They text me, they know they can get me on text like instantaneously. I'm an always on person, doesn't bother me, I like it. So creating like that safe space of whatever you need. You need that model built, you need to talk about something, you need 5 minutes, I'm here, not, we can schedule that in 2 weeks, I'm really busy. Oh, I'm traveling, oh, I'm on vacation for the next 2 weeks. Like, just being available and frankly hustling for your companies goes so far in the early days. All right, what do you think?
I agree. +1.
Okay.
So now I am not going to ask you the woman question, but very interestingly, and I see there's a lot of women in the room, you recently wrote an article for Fortune about how people should stop asking women how they balance career and life. What did you mean by that?
Oh, yes, you can find. So I wrote for Fortune. I did an op-ed on stop asking women about work-life balance. It doesn't exist. And I was pregnant with my third child. I was cranky, as you are when you're like 8 months pregnant. I had insomnia, as also can happen. And I had like 2 weeks of everybody trying to ask me this question, like, what's the magical answer? And I started to realize, like, I would be up late at night thinking about this, and it doesn't exist. And the reason it doesn't exist is because the intuitive nature of balance is actually being unbalanced. If you think about you're being on a balance beam, you sort of teeter. I used to be a gymnast, right? So you teeter back and forth, you ebb and you flow, you sway from one side to the other, and that's how you stay balanced. And that's what our life is, that one day we lean really far into work, the other day we lean really far into our family, and you just have to make choices, and you have to be confident in the choices that you make, that today I choose to be here instead of being there, and tomorrow I'm gonna choose something different. I think there's a lot of people in the room that I think have families and have priorities and have things that they're working on, and there's no silver bullet, there's no panacea. Sonia and I get together and talk about childcare for 90% of the time sometimes, and it's surrounding yourself with people that you love, that support you, that care about you, that encourage and embrace your ambitions, but also being kind to yourself, and that we're not perfect, and we make mistakes, and we make choices, and we have to live in those choices. But only asking women that question is also what I don't love, because I want everyone to believe that you can have the life you want, that young women say all the time, like, I'm scared to have kids, or I'm scared to do this, because what will that be? And the thing is, like, you have to make that life. You cannot make decisions about your long-term based on the acuity of the short-term. I just don't believe it. I don't believe that's the right thing to do for your long-term happiness.
Bringing it back to founders, what practical, tactical advice do you have for the founders in the room who might be looking to come pitch you? When should they come pitch you? What's the right way to get introduced to you? And what are you looking for?
Great. Maybe I'll answer first, how to pitch me. Second is general advice to founders. So we typically invest Series A, our initial check, 4 to 6 million, about 10 to 15 million over their life. Again, healthcare, digital health, B2B2C business models with a consumer empowerment component. Most VCs, I think warm introductions are always the best way to get introduced. I am so open and public about the things that I care about, the people that I know. We are all in the same city. I promise you, I see like 15 people in the audience I know. It is not hard to get connected. It just takes a little extra effort. The joke I always tell is, again, business school, University of Chicago on the alumni list has my email address, okay? And I get people like that send me LinkedIn messages when I know that they can get access to my email. It's like the one extra step. Like, I know it's a little harder, but that's sort of the thing. Like, I want to know that you can do the little bit harder thing, because the lot of bit harder things is what is going to make you a successful entrepreneur. But always love meeting awesome healthcare entrepreneurs. We do a lot in Chicago. We do a lot nationally. So I'm at all the big conferences and would love to meet folks there. My parting advice for founders is there's no such thing as strangers. So you're all here today. I don't tell that to my 3 kids under 5 right now, but I will tell this to all of you of looking around the room, the people that you know, the conference that you're at today, like, this is the long game. The people that you know that come into your life, if you build relationships with them, decades later, it comes back and pays out in spades. And so I would not think about people as transactional. I would really, really focus on building those relationships for the long term.
Well, I'm so lucky to have Alyssa as one of my relationships. And she
Ditto.
did tell you, I'll repeat your Twitter handle, because I do think that's a really great way to connect. And if you're thinking about pitching 7Wire or Alyssa, to get a sense for how she's thinking about the world and deals and where she's investing. So one more time, what's your Twitter?
Alyssa Joy Jaffee. I think it's pretty easy to find me. And you absolutely will know, my thing with social is I have to be myself. I have to be authentic. So I promise you will read my unfiltered thoughts, even if it gets me in trouble, because that is who I am.
Thank you all. And thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you.